across America, gangs of thieves are appearing to act with impunity and little fear of the police. Just last week, a flash mob stormed a Louis Vuitton in Chicago, took $120,000 worth of merchandise in less than a minute. In San Francisco, dozens of masked suspects swarmed Union Square, smashing windows and grabbing merchandise. Los Angeles saw a rash of robberies as well, including a gang armed with hammers that smashed cases in a jewelry store before running out. More than half of Americans believe crime is getting worse in their own local area. You have to wonder what the other half are thinking. Murders are on the rise in several cities, up 30% in 2020, and we're on pace for a bloodier 2021. Few people understand this firsthand, like Commissioner John Mueller, who runs the Yonkers Police Department north of New York City, joining us now. Commissioner, we appreciate it. Simple question. Why aren't the police stopping these guys?
Thank you for having me, Leland, and happy Thanksgiving to you and all of your viewers. The police aren't stopping. The police are doing the best they can. But I think what the issue is we're seeing now is this lack of consequences and lack of accountability. The messaging that we've had from progressive lawmakers that, we should not have any accountability and any consequences, this is what you get. When people feel and they are under the understanding that there are going to be no negative consequences, there are some people who are going to say, why not? Why not get a hammer and go in and bash some jewelry cases and steal things? So this is a lack of an understanding and not appreciating the fact that there should be consequences to actions like this.
Yeah, it's the old joke. Why do you rob a bank? Is because that's where the money is. Violence begets violence. Are you saying this is going to get worse?
I'm hoping it isn't going to get worse. What we're seeing in New York is that there is a willingness to look at some of the bail reforms and the criminal justice reform, raise the age. In New York, we're seeing violent crime rise due to raise the age, and we're asking for some minor modifications. And property crimes, though, is what you're talking about tonight, is largely with bail reform. Because if you believe in recidivism, and I do, the vast majority of crime is committed by a small group of people. And so those people need to be put in jail. And you have to put the best cases forward.
You're talking about, forgive me for interrupting, but you're talking about policy changes that could be months, years away. Are we to believe that all the people who are smashing Louis Vuitton stores this week or in Gucci stores next week, it feels like it's only a matter of time before somebody gets hurt?
Oh, there's no question about it. And you can also imagine how frightening this is for people walking down the sidewalk. People will say it's a property crime, but I would challenge anyone to say watching people go in with hammers and bash their way into a store is not alarming to anyone. What I'm saying is that the police all over the country are doing the absolute best they can. The weakness now is in the prosecutions in some cases and what the bail reform laws have done to the system. We don't need to lock up the whole world. We don't believe in mass incarceration. But to be able to say we don't think anyone should be in jail, this is what you get. These are the type of consequences now that we have to work back from.
Well, certainly it's also kind of a pendulum, right? And that is it takes a while for the message to get through to the bad guys that, yeah, we're serious this time. You're actually going to get locked up, when for so long they haven't been. This is how the New York Times is handling the rise of murders. Obviously, this isn't the New York Times. This isn't New York City that you're in Yonkers. But NYT headline, murders up. Murders rose by almost 30% in 2020. It's rising at a slower rate in 2021, as if that somehow makes it better. Culturally, are we clear-eyed enough in how bad things are getting?
Well, Leland, it depends on what culture you're talking about, because my communities of color are suffering the most from this. At dinner parties with the New York Times editorial board, I'm sure they think everything is just fine, but that's on the Upper West Side. All over the country, most of the violence is happening in Black and brown communities. So those are the communities that are hurting the most. Those are the communities that the police need to help the most. And frankly, those are the communities that want the police the most.
Tell me how that's playing out. As you're going into communities that perhaps these gangs are coming from, what are you hearing?
Well, what we're finding is this. If you engage with the precision policing model, where you go after the small subset of offenders, you focus on them, you put a good case together, and you have a prosecutor who's willing to partner with you to get them in jail, everybody wins. The community supports it, and you see crime go down. We've had, which is remarkable, and it's all because of the great work of the Yonkers police officers and supervisors. Our crime is actually down.
Wow.
But that is the reason is because we have a prosecutor who understands that we need to put certain people in jail. I think you cannot be surprised what you see in San Francisco when shoplifting is up like 800%. because they've decriminalized it.
Right.
At some point, people go in there and they just go shopping. The only difference with their shopping is they don't stop and pay for anything.
Yeah, the five-finger discount. Commissioner, I'm really glad you came on. After the holiday, we want to have you and the prosecutor on and talk a little bit more about the secret sauce there in Yonkers. It sounds like there's parts of America that could learn from you guys. Thank you.
We would love to be here. Happy Thanksgiving, Leland, to you and your family.
Yeah, to you and yours. Our thanks to your men and women on the force will be standing guard through the weekend away from their families. We appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.